Hello, Leo, and welcome to your love and happiness reading with me, Melissa Joy. Now, you might wonder, why is it love and happiness? Because when I began to prepare the decks and prepare the time that we're going to share together, sometimes an overall read comes in first, and there was one that came in. It was called Expecting the Unexpected, and then that began to open the framework where this love and happiness can come in. And we're talking about your love and happiness, not having to live out anyone else's expectations, ideas, conditions. You're coming into the truth of who you are, into your nature. Now, we can thank Cancer because they brought in these two new decks, and with it, they also put the lovers amongst this love and happiness. So for many of you, it is this anointing of relationships that you already have, the blessing being on it, and watching something that seemed void begin to flourish and come to life. And you're saying, how? And not how like you think, but how are they coming to life? And I'm saying in ways unimaginable, expecting the unexpected, in ways you didn't put to words yet, but you kept treasured in your heart, inside of you. Spirit has come along and has begun to pollinate those. So get ready for the fruit coming from your roots. It might be some long, deep roots. And I heard shallow spoken over that, of maybe some long, shallow times, but there's a taproot that goes way on down. And that's just like the water pumps that they used to have attached to the well. Okay, you just begin to let that action start making a difference here, and it's going to draw it right on up and bring a well of newfound life to you. Okay, so let's get a little bit on this for you, Leo. Now, in my meditation, they were talking about how they say it, great passion awakening in your realm of expertise. That is exciting. King of Cups. Maybe you're good at dealing with emotions. Maybe you're good at keeping a level head. Maybe you're really good at reading the tides of life. But I can't see, they're very stable. This person is on dry land here. So it's almost like that's the illusion of thinking that it still has to be played that way when there's a new day dawning I see in the background, and I see that Neptunian energy clearing. So you might be dealing with the old Pisces energy going on. So it could have been alcoholism. It could have been an alcoholic. It could be a child of an alcoholic. Or you can also know that emotions like pity is the heroine of the emotional realm. All right. So it could be people who played on your emotions, who caused your life to just be this rocking about that you've been looking for the stability all along, like Dorothy. Look at that love. Without having to force it or make it happen or enforce it or regulate or have to do any of those distorted forms of living. Yeah, you see these sitting here, don't you? I do too. We're going to let them come in together, and those seem like some condition cards. And I'm like, why are we conditioning the condition? What is going on here? So let's take a look, because the Knight of Swords is going to come in and change the directive of this, not the direction, the directive, because it's talking about the directive drives the direction. And as you can see, it's been going contrary to you. So that could be dealing with the nodes, dealing with the moon, which again, to me, the moon is very Piscean. Okay. It's like the half moon of the phases of the moon, where Cancer could be the full moon, okay? And Scorpio is like the new moon. So it's like it could go either way. So having to ride that dividing line all the time, like this, having to hold steady, having to stay in temperance, maybe holding yourself back from so many things that seem natural to you, to where you don't necessarily trust yourself. It's like, well, gosh, anytime I do that, it always turns out this way. Like for me, when I step towards happiness, the smackdown used to always come. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, that is not going to happen, because that's how my life played out when I was little, when I didn't have the power and control. But you do here. You have the power to change things. And what you're doing here is you're using this brush, this pen, this authority as an eraser to clear off things, like a correction guard, and not correct like right versus wrong, but correct like, no, I would like to do something else with that space in my heart, that space in my mind, getting rid of the clutter and the supposition going on around there. Which is wild. We have the 6 of Cups, so you may check out the Cancerian reading and get a little background in there of what is going on. Theirs was talking about the love boat, right? And says there's a boat coming out right in the center here over this gentleman's heart. That could be like the tangible evidence and the proof of how things have been going for a while, not necessarily just a man, okay? And we have the High Priestess. Look at that, another boat coming in here. So maybe you just had to stymie it, stifle it, stuff it down and put it down as this person just kept bringing it up. And you're like, what the hey? How do I overcome this? But let's look at this. Let's look at that Piscean energy of the half moon coming in saying, hey, it could go either way. Why don't we come back to that midpoint and not consider the peoples involved and think about the energies of what is it that bothers me about this coming up? Does it begin to awaken my senses and I don't really trust myself and what I'm picking up on? Because maybe life played out unfavorably for you when you were younger. That when you followed your nature, your natural, a smackdown came, right? Or a cutoff, or a rejection, or a put down, or a hellfire and brimstone. I don't know, friend, but you're getting what you're like. That's more like it, because look at these red curtains barely peeping out, only seeing a slice of yourself. What is wild is the truth of who you are. Like the left side is our potential. It's actually our who. It's connected to our divine self, our sacred child, heaven on earth, trying to come on in. It's like if our hands were our mouth and Uranus, right? This is the left hand is where we intake and the right hand is where we output, where we release. So this is what is that fresh new life coming on in, all right? And it doesn't matter what stage the moon is in, the moon is always full. So nothing should be able to throw you off of your heart intelligence. So I'm hearing the message, listen to your heart. That seems to be a bit of what's trying to come out here. Trying to come out of the limitations, out of the conditions, your heart. You can edit the face, the mustache, the hair, the whatever, the brawn, I don't know, but be like, this is your heart trying to do the best it can, 0707, which is to return to your true nature, to come on out and get a return, a reciprocation of the truth of who you are. Not all this old proof and evidence of what you're not and what you deserve and what you're worth and not worth and all that kind of shiz-diz. This is trying to come on out and get to the beautiful garden and do away with the doubt, with the harem-scarum, with the intimidation. There's trepidation around that energy and the intimidation, so it becomes that blurry line, that cloudy line, which is what you're obviously clearing away here. I love that you've made this an energy session because you're trying to make way and reach out to the 10 of Pentacles. And for you, this is satisfaction and fulfillment. It's nature being exactly as it should be because it's so delightful on a profusionary grand scale that's like a symphony. All those instruments going, you're not all the instruments. You're like that conductor, right? And I love that you're conducting business here going, that pause, that rest, that pity, that whatever, that wretchedness is getting on out of here. And you're like, let's get into this tulips. Well, so it's sitting over here by the tea leaves, pointing at us. Carnelian, healing of the heart, April, okay? There are very few cards in here that timeline because there are 12 of them actually. But as you can see, there are no more showers, no more tears, my friend. And that doesn't mean don't cry. It just means the things to cry about are drying up. What? They're going into your roots because your heart is coming out, being able to express your truth, your beauty, your life, not the situation around you. It's like being the thermostat versus the thermometer. Talk about true power. And that's the blossoms coming on here. And I love it because those are cherry blossoms, and cherries represent cheeriness, cheerfulness, that delight, that lightness of the heart. Like when you see children go bouncing outside and they're just running and playing with each other and their faces are wide open. They're not thinking about how they look. The hair is everywhere and they're just giggling and laughing and playing and adjusting and adapting as they go from this game to that game to this group to that group. It's so beautiful and dynamic. That's the energy that's being restored to you. And Tulip is bringing that great passion, this thing that seems fleeting in just a moment, but it is always there. And it's up to you to allow it to express itself, okay? And this is what I see coming on in. Okay, so some of you, it may be the woman herself, a female herself, that has been suppressed. Look at this garden gate, this prison, okay? Isn't this wild when these readings do this? See this? On the lower half of yourself, which is where passion can be expressed. For some of you, it may be a sexual divine connection, having a healthy sexual relationship with your lover, or even with yourself, okay? That's some of what's been going on under here. And you're talking about turbidity. Turbidity is when it keeps getting churned up and stirred up and mucking it up with either judgment, shame, could have been some trigger warning here, okay? Rape, incest, it could have been any of those things, okay, friend? And that's why they're talking about wanting to drain this out. And that could be a big deal. Like, why do you keep bringing this up? Why do you keep bringing this up? Whoever your partner is, or scenarios in life, okay? That's also what the masculine can represent. And wanting to be liberated from that. Liberated from that perpetuation of that cycle in your life. Wanting to truly bring in what it is you dream and desire in this world, the whole self, that you become a whole heart, not part this and part that, and condition this and condition that. And in this group, I can be this person, that group, they like this part of my personality. They're talking about being the whole you, the full you. And I say, the satisfied you. All right, Leo. Well, thank you for sharing your your secrets with me. That is right. And if any of this tickled your fancy, tickle the like, share, and subscribe button down below. They are free as always, and it helps us rise to the top. Also, if you feel like investing, you can drop your comment or your compliment down below. I appreciate hearing from you and getting to know who's on the other side of this lens. Maybe I'll even comment myself. I don't know. But remember, friends, we are the whole zodiac. You're not one ingredient. You're the whole pie. Step into your delicious, delightful, juicy life and enjoy. Bye.